Welcome to the Fiscal Physical Podcast. Join us each week as we sit down with the founder of Alchemy Wealth Management and author of Your Fiscal Physical, Ryan Nelson. Tune in to gain valuable insights and practical tips as we simplify complex financial concepts into digestible lessons. From budgeting to retirement planning, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering financial literacy.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Fiscal Physical Podcast. My name is Aaron. I am here with Mr. Ryan Nelson, founder of Alchemy Wealth Management. One of my good pals. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great, man. I see you have an Iron Man shirt on. You just get done with one or previous one?
Previous.
Gotcha.
Nothing recently.
Yeah, you're looking a little sweaty, so I thought you might have just came off the, I guess the bike is last, so maybe, but
runs last.
Oh, the runs last. See, that's a little I know with about that. So, but no, man, I'm excited. I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk some financial topics today. And how about yourself? You ready? Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So, Ryan, in the past, we've talked a couple of times now. We've done a couple of different episodes on, AI and impact and all these good stuff. So, I figured we'd ask some questions to ChatGPT is actually the platform that I used about see what it spits out of us. So the question I asked, I said, hey, provide me the top 3 questions to ask your prospective financial advisor. So if you're sitting down, you're interviewing financial advisors, or you're looking for one, like what questions would it spit out at us here? So I'm curious to see. I mean, looking over these relatively common questions. Some things we've covered, some things we haven't. But I'm just going to go ahead and pull these up. And you ready to get rolling?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the first one it popped out, which is I think a great one here, is that it said, "Hey, make sure you ask, are you a fiduciary at all times?" So I think we've covered that in the past a little bit here, but you do want us to give a little breakdown about that question, what your thoughts on it are, and kind of how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I love. I like a couple things. One, that in theory these questions are not objective, or they're not biased, right? They're just like good questions, which is awesome. But what I like about this question, are you a fiduciary at all times, is this is actually coincidentally a question I tell a lot of prospective clients to ask. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes when you don't have expertise in an industry, you just don't even know what questions to ask, right? Yep. And so oftentimes people will ask, are you a fiduciary? And I always tell them, hey, if you're asking other people if they're a fiduciary, you should also be following up with the question, are you a fiduciary at all times for all clients? Mm-hmm. And then I think I've even mentioned this on a previous episode, but then I would even follow up with a third question. Do you mind putting that in writing? So I would ask, are you a fiduciary? Pretty much everybody's going to say yes. I would follow it up and ask, are you a fiduciary at all times for all clients? There you'll start to get some no's, which is a little interesting. And then if you ask if they can put it in writing, you'll get a lot more sort of pullback.
Pushback,
Yep. So, so I think it's a phenomenal question. Let's talk a little bit about what a fiduciary is. So it means that you're legally obligated to put basically the client's interests ahead of your own. So that's, if you're in the client's shoes, hey, that's pretty attractive. Yeah, you want to be working with somebody who's, again, putting your interests first. And again, why this question is so important is a lot of advisors out there are only fiduciaries part of the time. So maybe only when they're offering specific services or products. And what's confusing is, so at times you might have a relationship with them. At times they're acting as a fiduciary for you. At times they're not. So they're kind of constantly taking their fiduciary hat on and off. Mm-hmm. In their defense, it's not really practical to have a reasonable conversation with another human and say, hey, I'm a fiduciary right now, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I'm not a fiduciary, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I am a fiduciary, blah, blah. And so...
On the record, off the record.
Yeah, exactly. So it gets confusing for clients. And so, I think this question is phenomenal, and it kind of gets to that root. Again, most advisors in this day and age are a fiduciary at some stage for clients, but I don't know if I should say most, but a lot of advisors are at least fiduciaries at some times for some clients. But following up with that, are you a fiduciary at all times, is a great question, just to kind of dive a little deeper and see if the person you're working with is always a fiduciary for all clients at all times, or they kind of waffle back and forth. So I love the question. I think it's a phenomenal question.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. And just to confirm, at Alchemy Wealth Management, you are a fiduciary at all time. Is that like how you operate? Right,
all times for all people.
Excellent.
We got it in writing. Yep, absolutely.
I love it. You covered all those bases. I was like, cool. All right, so let's jump into the second one here. So the second question that it spit out said, "Hey, make sure you ask this is, how do you get paid, and are there any potential conflicts of interest?"
Yeah, I love this question as well. One of the reasons why I started Alchemy Wealth Management was to try to reduce as many of these conflicts of interest as possible. And I'll be the first to admit there's no like perfect system out there. So even at Alchemy Wealth, it's impossible for us, at least I've never heard or seen a system or can think of a system that eliminates 100% of conflicts of interest. Mm-hmm. So there's always going to be some conflicts of interest there. What you want to do as the client is start to figure out what conflicts of interest you have with your advisor. And then you can start to kind of evaluate how substantial they are. But there's the first part of that question is, how do you get paid? There's three main ways advisors. Well, this is how I explain it to clients. So I say there's two ways advisors get paid. There's fees that are paid directly from the client to me, and then there's commissions. Commissions are paid by a third party to me. So fees are paid from the client to me. Commissions are paid from a third party to me. So if you came to me with $100,000, Aaron, and you say, "Hey Ryan, here's $100,000. What do I do with it?" And I take that $100,000 and I go invest in mutual fund company A. Mutual fund company A might pay me a commission to put your money with them.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a third party paying me a commission. It wasn't you paying me, it was a third party paying me. But the issue there is, let's pretend mutual fund company A pays me $1,000, but mutual fund company B is willing to pay me $2,000.
Sure.
And mutual fund company C is willing to pay me $3,000. Mm-hmm. So I come back to you and I recommend, hey, let's invest in mutual fund company C. Well, I got paid $3,000 to do that versus only $2,000 with company B or $1,000 with company A. So now how do you know, did the recommendation I make, was it because I'm just getting paid the most, or is C actually in your best interest? It could be both, that C's in your interest and I get paid the most, or it could be that it wasn't in your best interest. I just did it because it was in my interest, right? But how would you ever know, right? And point. So again, there's those two ways advisors get paid: directly there's two ways advisors get paid: directly from the client, again, that's called a fee, or from the third party, that's called a commission. So those are the two ways all advisors get compensated. Now, there's different types of advisors out there. So there is what we'd call like commission-based. So they're selling products usually, and they would just be collecting these commissions. Mm-hmm. So maybe not collecting anything from you. So what that might could sound attractive. So you come to me with $100,000. I say, hey, this is actually going to be free for you. I'm not going to charge you anything. I get paid by the companies we work with, right? You may have heard something similar in other industries as well. And so I say, hey, this isn't going to cost you anything. I'm going to take your $100,000. When we invest it, they'll compensate me. So you don't have to pay me anything directly, right? That sounds pretty attractive on the front end. Yeah. What you don't know is behind the scenes, maybe I'm taking your $100,000. I'm investing in a mutual fund company C. They're paying me $3,000. Where do you think they got that $3,000 from?
Yeah, probably
your account.
Your account, yeah.
So it's like, that's pretty misleading to say that you're not paying me anything. Like, yeah, technically the money's flowing to me from this third party, but like ultimately, where's it flowing from? Probably your account, right? These guys aren't just donating $3,000 to me.
The charity of their heart.
Yeah. So that'd be a commission-based advisor, somebody who's maybe not charging the client theoretically directly, but just collecting commissions on the back end, right? There's other industries who have similar fee structures.
Okay.
Then there's what we call fee-based. Oh. This is what, like, I don't know the percentage, 90, maybe 90+% of advisors seem to be fee-based, where they collect both a combination of fees and commissions. Mm-hmm. So they're collecting something from the client directly, plus the ability when they put the money into a third party, that third party to pay them some sort of commission. So that's fee-based. It's a mix of both. And then there's what we call fee-only, and that's where there's no commissions involved. They're only going to be collecting fees from the client. So Alchemy Wealth is a fee-only advisor. So again, I like to be transparent. I have a conflict here. I think that's the best fee method, right? But I like it because I think it reduces a lot of conflicts of interest. So now you come to me with $100,000. Transparently, I'm going to charge you something, but you know what you're paying it. So you know what you're paying. So it's transparent. You've agreed to it on the front end. And now I don't necessarily have a dog in the fight of what what third party we invest in, right? So I'm not going to just go with investment company C just because they pay the most. I don't get paid any more or any less if we go with A, B, or C. My compensation stays exactly the same. I'm just charging you a fee, right? So there was one advisor who only collects commissions. There is fee-based where they collect both commissions and fees, or there's other advisors who only collect fees. So it's good to know kind of how that fee structure is set up with the advisor you're interviewing. And then again, what are the conflicts of interest that come along with that, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. No, it kind of feels like it's like, hey, these are the 3 questions you asked and the 3 main questions, and you got some sub questions that probably follow up from there too. So
for sure.
That's good. That's an interesting kind of way to break that down for sure.
And another thing I would ask, so that's kind of the main fee structure, but then it's also good to know sort of if they receive any kickbacks or product incentives or referral fees or travel incentives or bonuses. What other incentives does that person have that might potentially encourage them to do something that's not directly in your best interest?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Just always kind of get all the information around. And I think I also want to call out just, tooting the horn of Alchemy too. I think you send out a quarterly email about your billing, your fee structure, I think is what it is. I think it's quarterly. I get one like 4 times a year. And it's very transparent. Exactly. Like, hey, we are a fee. I think it's fee only, right? It is what it is. And it says it breaks it down for you. Even a layman like myself, I can be like, okay, cool. Like the transparency of that's really neat. And so I think that I really like this one as far as the question to really dive into that with your financial advisor, because it is a huge decision to choose who's going to be managing your money,
for sure,
planning for retirement and such too. So the more questions you can ask, and honestly, like yourself, Ryan, you're always like, yeah, I love questions. Hit me with the questions.
Right,
I think that everybody should be as informed as possible, but like, if you get asking all these questions and people are just getting annoyed or something like that, maybe that's you take a step back and be like,
yeah, it could be a red flag for sure.
It could be a red flag if somebody's like, oh no, like you don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. Like making sure you get all the answers up front when you're asking these questions for sure. So
definitely
awesome. So let's move on to the third one here. So I think this one's a big one, probably a good one in almost any industry to ask. But it is, what is your experience working with clients like myself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that we used that hamburger analogy a few episodes ago, and where I said, there's the McDonald's, there's the Juicy's, and there's the steakhouse hamburger, right?
Yep.
And none of those hamburgers are better or worse than other hamburgers. They're better for different people at different stages in life, right? And there's different pros of each experience and different cons of each experience, right? And it's sort of, again, the same with financial advisors. There's no sort of one-size-fits-all advisor where one advisor could theoretically be the best solution for every single client out there on the planet, right? And I would even extend this past just financial advisors. There's other financial services. There's what we call robo-advisors and technology solutions that we've covered in previous episodes that could be a good alternative as well. And so, yeah, my whole point is no single advisor is the best fit for every single client out there. So determining when you're interviewing an advisor, do they resonate with, or do they work with similar clients like what as you? So some advisors out there might focus on helping people become, get out of debt. Well, if you're not in debt, should you be working with that person? Maybe not, right? Other people might help, focus on paying, parents who want to pay for their kids' college and they're like 529 experts and they know everything about the FAFSA and everything. It's like, yeah, that'd be phenomenal if you're at that stage of life and you need focus on that. Working with an expert who's has an expertise solely in that is spectacular, right? Other people, so like me, I'm a retirement planner. I help people plan for retirement. And there's, lots of different advisors out there who are sort of specializing in different things. So getting an idea for sort of who the typical client that advisor works with, and if that their sort of knowledge and expertise fits what you're trying to accomplish is useful. I think is really similar to a doctor, right? You wouldn't go to your general care physician or, to have a knee surgery, or you want to go to your ophthalmologist to do some sort of oral surgery, right?
Sure.
Like they specialize in different things. And to some degree, most financial advisors do something similar. And so you'd want to find one that fits your needs.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. And it reminds me of you mentioned the doctor analogy. Recently, I went and I did my annual eye appointment and I got scanned, and I was asking the optometrist is who it is. I was like, hey, did you go to med school? And she's like, oh no, not at all. And I was like, oh, okay, really? She's like, yeah, don't ask me any medical questions unless it's related to the eye.
That's funny.
And she was like, man, she's like, no, I got my undergrad in like health science, and then I did a master's, like it's like a master's technical program at a California State University, and she's like, and it's an ophthalmology or a optometrist college is like what it is. And so I was like, oh, I automatically, she's like, no, there's no doctors who work here who are actually like went to med school.
Yeah.
And so I was like, interesting. In my mind, I was like, oh, you do that and then you choose your specialty.
Right.
But like, I was like, but she was very clear. She's like, don't ask me any questions unless it's related to the eye. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And I was
funny.
like,
huh.
Oh, cool. So it's a really good analogy of like, hey, like if you're looking to plan for retirement, maybe you don't, go with somebody who specializes in just college education or something like that too. You want to find the right fit for that.
Yeah.
And you could, my guess is there's probably somebody out there for what you're looking to do specifically.
To plug a couple other financial advisors, there's somebody out there who just, I think it's with dentists. So they just work with dentists, but more specifically, not even all dentists, they only work with dentists who are transitioning out of their business and looking to sell their business. And so it's like, that advisor probably knows a lot more about like dentist transition plans than I do. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's not what I work on, right? And there's another guy out there or another company out there who works with only Chick-fil-A operators. So again, they're just going to be an expert in the Chick-fil-A 401k, right? Chick-fil-A benefits and retirement packages and all of that stuff. So if you were a Chick-fil-A operator, hey, that'd be a pretty good, maybe a good advisor, right? Again, like my firm, we specialize in retirement, like retirement transitions. And so, yeah, there's all these different firms out there who, again, are going to end up have accumulating different amounts of knowledge and expertise, and you just want to make sure that what you're trying to accomplish aligns with the person's knowledge and expertise that you're working with.
Absolutely. No, it makes perfect sense there, Ryan. I think it's a great job wrapping that up for sure. So those are the 3 questions that ChatGPT spit out at us, but I'd be curious to see what the listeners' questions are as far as like if you've gone and talked to financial advisors of what questions you've asked, what you wish you would have asked maybe before, and let us know as far as that goes. But we'll go ahead and take a quick pause here. Be back on the other side of this with some personal stuff. Everybody hang tight.
And now, to put the personal in personal finance.
Welcome back to this side of the Fiscal Physical podcast. I am still here with Ryan Nelson, and Ryan, got a question for you. You ready to answer a question?
Absolutely.
All right. I can't remember if we've talked about this one before. I was going through the questions like that I have a list of, and
sure.
I feel like we maybe have. So if we have, please shout us out there. Let us know. But my question to you today on the personal side here is: do you have a guilty pleasure? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, if we have done this, I don't remember it, so I'll probably give a different answer.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. My first thought is like guilty pleasure is like thinking of like a sweet treat to eat.
Same,
yeah.
Exactly.
So I know there's other guilty pleasures, but yeah, going like sweet treat to eat. I love like chocolate chip cookies and ice cream. So the natural progression there is a Pizookie, and I absolutely love those things. I love Pizookies. So yeah, I like ice cream, brownies and ice cream, also good.
Yeah,
right?
that's
nice.
good
Yeah. But I'll go with Pizookie. Yeah. What about you?
No, that's a good one. That's a It's BJ's, right? That's a staple of BJ's. Is who would actually. But you could probably make your homemade ones too. Chocolate chip cookies when they're fresh and warm.
Yeah.
With that,
or even unbaked cookie dough.
Cookie dough by itself. It's just delicious.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's actually funny. My mom came down relatively recently, and she baked a big batch of cookie dough balls. So they're just frozen cookie dough balls, and she put them in our freezer. She's like, "Hey, you bake these, take them out."
Yeah.
Like
they never found their way to the oven.
They never saw the tray. Dude.
Yeah.
Every night, like my wife and I would eat one, and then be like, "You down for another?" And like within like a couple of weeks, those things were gone. Never even saw the oven.
That's
so
awesome.
It was super funny. She was like, "How are the cookies?" I was like, "Well, the dough was delicious," kind of thing. But love that for sure. But my guilty pleasure is a kind of a weird one, I suppose. I'll probably maybe talked about it. I love
tires.
No, that's that. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, I do love the smell of tires, fresh rubber to be specific. But no, I love a double bubble gum.
Okay, nice.
And it is a absolute. I don't even know if it's an addiction. I don't know what the definition is, but I can't buy it because I will just chew it all.
Yeah.
And I will hurt my jaw. And I know exactly what I'm getting into every time. So like I know whether it's normally stored in like stores and such, but if I've had like a tough week or like I had I think of ups and downs or whatever, if I'm really high or I'm really low, I'm like, yeah, I probably should get some Double Bubble. So I'll get one. I'll get a pack of it. And one of the times my buddy drove by my house and just tossed a big 5-pound like bag out of it.
Yeah.
And just into my yard and then said, hey, dude, check your yard. And I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to eat this all now.
That's
like,
funny.
Zero self-control with it. But I would say that's like my guilty pleasure if I'm like, ooh, that's what I want kind of thing. So kind of weird. I don't know if anybody else has that. But
probably not, no.
I guess I probably... Now, if I could chew Double Bubble while sitting in a tire shop, now we're talking. Like, I think that might stimulate me too much. If we're being honest, I might just...
It's like a cat when they get overstimulated and just start biting people.
Exactly. Kind of thing. But anyway, I'd love to hear from the listeners. Let us know what your guilty pleasure is. I'm sure we'll get some fun ones there. But that's all I got today, Ryan. Anything to wrap us up, though?
As always, stay the course.
Thank you for joining us for the Fiscal Physical Podcast. Until next time, happy listening. And as always, stay the course. If you have a question or topic suggestions, please email us at podcast@alchemywealth.com. If you enjoyed today's discussion, subscribe to the podcast to ensure you never miss an episode. And consider leaving us a rating and review on your favorite platform. This helps other listeners like you find the show. For more resources, you can visit Alchemy Wealth Management's website at www.alchemywealth.com or find your Fiscal Physical, the book, on Amazon. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that personal finance is just that, personal. Please don't take anything we say as advice. The preceding content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not an offer or a solicitation, nor should it be construed or relied upon for tax, legal, or investment advice. It doesn't consider your personal financial situation or objectives and may not be suitable for you.